There are objects in the history of our world that simply should not exist. They are ghosts of a technology that wouldn't be seen again for 1,000 years. Items that defy their era, challenging every record we have of the ancient past. We look for them in the gaps between what we know and what we find. We look for them in the silence of abandoned rooms and the stories of things left behind. This is the case of the Antikythera mechanism. In the spring of 1900, a group of Greek sponge divers was forced to take shelter from a violent storm. They anchored near the tiny, isolated island of Antikythera. They didn't know they were resting directly above a graveyard of secrets. Captain Dimitrios Kontos and his crew waited for the winds to die down. They were sponge divers, men used to the pressure of the deep, but nothing could have prepared them for what lay 45 meters below their hull. When the storm passed, diver Elias Stadiatis descended into the depths. He didn't find sponges. He found a massive Roman merchant ship, its hull shattered and spilling its treasures into the silt. He emerged from the water, trembling, claiming he had seen a heap of rotting corpses on the sea floor. They weren't corpses, they were statues, monumental bronze and marble figures frozen in the silt for 2 millennia. The wreck was a floating museum of ancient luxury, statues of marble and bronze, fine glassware and jewelry, all headed to a wealthy buyer in Rome before the sea claimed them around 60 BCE. Among these giants was a small, unremarkable lump of corroded bronze. It was roughly the size of a shoebox, covered in 2,000 years of calcification. At the time, no one considered it a treasure. For nearly a year, this unremarkable fragment sat in a warehouse at the National Archaeological Museum in Athens. It was ignored, a secondary find in a collection of masterpieces. It sat in the darkness, waiting. While the world marveled at the Antikythera youth and the marble philosophers, the bronze fragment remained in the shadows. It was a puzzle piece that didn't fit any known image of the past. On May 17, 1902, archaeologist Valerios Stais looked closer. The fragment had split open, and he noticed a gear wheel embedded in the corrosion. This single observation would shatter the historical consensus of the 20th century. The ancient Greeks were master philosophers, but they were not supposed to be masters of complex gearing. The existence of this device suggested a level of mechanical precision that the record said did not exist for another 1,000 years. Many scholars initially dismissed it. They claimed it was a modern clock that had accidentally fallen onto the wreck centuries later. The world was not yet ready to accept what the bronze was telling them. The device was too fragile to take apart. For 50 years, it remained a mystery, its internal workings hidden by 2,000 years of calcification and sea salt. It was a file that refused to open. Generation after generation of archaeologists looked at the fragment and saw only a dead end. It was an anomaly, a glitch in the timeline of human progress that no one could explain. For half a century, it gathered dust. In the 1950s, British historian Derek de Solla Price began a lifelong quest to decode the mechanism. He suspected it was more than just a toy. He believed it was an astronomical computer from the age of Socrates. In 1971, Price collaborated with nuclear physicist Charalampos Karakalos to produce the first X-ray and gamma-ray images. They saw through the corrosion for the first time, revealing 27 gears hidden inside. Price published his findings in 1974. He proved the device was an astronomical calculator of staggering complexity. But even with X-rays, he couldn't see everything. The machine was still holding on to its most complex secrets. In 2005, a team of researchers brought a massive 8-ton X-ray scanner to the museum. They were determined to look even deeper, using technology developed for modern medicine to examine an ancient patient. They discovered something revolutionary: 3,500 characters of Greek text etched into the casing. It was effectively a user manual, detailing the movements of the planets and the sun. The front face tracked the Metonic cycle, a 19-year period used to synchronize the lunar months with the solar year. It was a device that could predict the date of the next Olympic Games, 2,000 years in advance. In 2008, researchers decoded a small subsidiary dial on the back. This games dial tracked the 4-year cycle of the Pan-Hellenic Games, including the festivals at Olympia, Delphi, and Corinth. The dial even mentioned minor regional festivals like the Na. This detail suggests the device was commissioned for someone in northwestern Greece or modeled after a specific regional calendar. The mystery deepened. Linguistic analysis of the month names revealed they were of Corinthian origin. This link points to Corinthian colonies like Syracuse in Sicily, the home of the legendary mathematician Archimedes. On the back, a spiral dial tracked the Saros cycle, This was a 223-month period used to predict solar and lunar eclipses with startling accuracy, including the time of day and the direction of the shadow. To achieve this, the builders used a pin-and-slot mechanism. It modeled the moon's variable velocity, mimicking how the moon appears to move faster when it is closer to the Earth, a mechanical solution for an elliptical orbit. The inscription suggests the machine also tracked the positions of the 5 classical planets known to the Greeks: Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn, a complete map of the heavens in a handheld wooden box. Curator Michael Wright proposed that the device used complex epicyclic gearing to model the retrograde motion of planets. His model featured pointers representing the Sun, Moon, and all 5 known planets. In 2021, a team from University College London used inscriptions of the numbers 462 and 442 to propose a compact gear system that could fit within the original shoebox-sized case. Recent scans revealed that the pointers originally featured colored beads, a fiery red for Mars and gold for the Sun. It was not just a scientific tool, but a beautiful piece of craftsmanship and a status symbol. The device also included a parapegma, a star calendar that linked the rising of constellations to weather predictions. It was a multifunctional encyclopedia of the heavens for its owner. But who could have built such a device? This level of complexity would not reappear in Europe until the medieval cathedral clocks 1400 years later. The record remains silent on the creator's name. Some theories point to the legendary Archimedes of Syracuse. Cicero wrote of a bronze sphere Archimedes built that could replicate the movements of the sun and planets. Could this be a descendant of his work? The calendar used on the device is consistent with Syracuse. Archimedes died long before the ship sank, but his mechanical traditions may have been preserved by his students for generations, passed down in secret. Others look to Hipparchus, the great astronomer of Rhodes. He was the one who calculated the moon's uneven motion, the very theory that the machine's pin-and-slot mechanism was designed to solve. The shipwreck also contained pottery from Rhodes, the home of the philosopher Posidonius. Cicero mentioned seeing a device made by Posidonius that mimicked the solar system. The trail of the machine leads back to the island of Rhodes. In 2024, astronomers at the University of Glasgow applied statistical techniques used to study gravitational waves. They found the device likely used a lunar calendar of 354 days, not a solar one. A simulation published in April 2025 suggested the machine might have jammed after just 4 months. This has led some to believe it was a high-status educational model rather than a working scientific tool. The wreck confirms the ship was a high-end merchant vessel. It was carrying the very best technology of its time to an unknown, wealthy buyer in Rome. A lost commission that would change our history if it had arrived. Coins from Pergamum and Ephesus suggest the ship was carrying looted or purchased Greek treasures. It was a cargo of pure luxury, meant for the halls of the Roman elite. One box, however, held a future they couldn't grasp. Just months ago, in July 2025, archaeologists recovered hull fragments that confirm the ship was built with oak and elm, typical of high-end Mediterranean vessels. The wreck is still giving up its secrets, one splinter at a time. The fact that this mechanism survived at all is a fluke of history. Had it not been lost at sea, the bronze would have been melted down for scrap centuries ago, leaving us entirely unaware of this Hellenistic genius. Despite a century of research, the Antikythera mechanism remains a fragment of a future that never happened, a glimpse into an ancient world that was far more advanced than we dared to imagine. It stands as a testament to what was lost. We still don't know who built it, or where it was going when it sank. The mystery of the 2,000-year-old computer remains. The file, for now, remains open. The answers are still buried in the silt of time. Which theory do you find most convincing? Archimedes, Hipparchus, or a forgotten genius we'll never name? And which vintage mystery should we open next? Share your thoughts below and subscribe to Never Solved. History is not a straight line. Sometimes it is a circle or a spiral, leading us back to questions we thought we had answered long ago. The Antikythera mechanism is that circle. It reminds us that knowledge can be lost as easily as it is found. Every gear, every inscription, is a reminder that the past is a foreign country, and we are only beginning to learn the language. Thank you for opening this file with us. Your curiosity is the light that keeps these stories alive. Until the next case, keep looking into the shadows. You never know what ghosts might be waiting there, holding the keys to our own future. I am Never Solved. Good night, and stay curious.